Chapter 10. We always have to get up extra early on Wednesdays because that's the day Mum starts work early and she drops us off at Breakfast Club on the way. But this Wednesday, I wasn't woken up by Mum opening the curtains. I was jolted from sleep by a thunderous banging noise coming from downstairs. My first thought was that there'd been an earthquake. Then that Mum had finally exploded the oven with one of her cooking experiments. But then I realised it was someone knocking endlessly and almost desperately on the front door. I heard Mum go and answer it, her voice low, even though the whole street was probably awake by now. Yes, Mrs. Gupta. She was using her very calm tone of voice, the one that usually means she's about to go completely bananas. You do realise it's 5 a.m. I'm sorry, Mrs. Gupta bellowed at a volume that could have woken the dead, but I was leaving for work and I saw it. It's on your roof. What is? I heard the front door close. Mum must have gone outside to see what Mrs. Gupta meant. There was a pause, and then the front door was wrenched open again and Mum burst back inside, now clearly on the phone. I don't know how it got there. Well, I should ring RSPCA or the fire brigade. All right, I'll wait for you. She gave an irritated sigh through her teeth. There was no point pretending to be asleep anymore. I went into the hallway and leaned over the landing rail. What's going on? Mum looked up at me with a sort of expression that said she'd much rather be in bed than having to deal with this. There's a problem with the roof, she said finally. Oh, I didn't mention I'd heard Mrs. Gupta say there was something on the roof. Is it going to fall in? No. Well, I don't think so. She looked at her phone. Nick's coming back from work to help. Nick? Why? Is he going to borrow a ladder or something? Will asked, coming out of his room, wearing his old My Little Gremlins dressing gown over his Bert the Bear pyjamas. I was suddenly reminded that until very recently, Will had been interested in all the same things I was before he morphed into a teenager. A ladder? No, it's just some things he thinks he can help with. Mum ran her hands through her hair distractedly. I need to call work. We're going to be late. Please, can you both get ready to go down so we can leave as soon as this is sorted? And stay inside. Will and I left her to it, having a quick and silent fight about who was going to use the bathroom first. When we were both dressed in our school uniform and making breakfast, Nick let himself in through the back door. His usually jolly face looked slightly anxious. What's going on? Will asked as he stacked a fifth Weetabix into his bowl. Nothing we can't handle, Nick said distractedly. His longish hair was escaping from the bun at the back of his head as if he'd got ready in a rush. He switched the kettle on. It seems like a much bigger problem than it actually is. What is it? I asked. Has the chimney stack come down? Oh, nothing that terrible, Nick said. He poured hot water into an empty mug and stirred it as if he was thinking about something else. I opened my mouth to tell him he'd forgotten a tea bag, but he'd already wandered back out of the door to where Mum was standing in the garden, looking up at the roof. Will nudged me. Are we going out or what? Mum told us to stay inside, I said piously. Then grinning, I got up, Will on my heels as he went out into the garden. Mum and Nick were talking together, quick and quiet, as though worried someone would overhear them. What's happening? Will asked loudly, making them both jump. A bit of liquid splashed out of Nick's mug, and I saw and smelled that it was hot chocolate, which didn't make sense at all, because he'd forgotten to add anything to the mug before pouring in the water, hadn't he? Just go back in, Mum flapped at Will. I'll take you to school in a bit, after. But it was too late. Will had stepped back into the garden to see the roof of the house properly and was gawping up at it, mouth open, arms hanging by his sides, like someone had cut his puppet strings. What the? I'm a lot shorter than Will, so I had to dance back further in the garden to see. But when I finally looked up and saw the roof properly, my brain refused to believe what my eyes were seeing. It was ridiculous. It was impossible. It was a reindeer on the roof.